for the answer. And my next question is, what are your 3 top priorities in Congress for Sindhi people in coming days?
Well, the 3 areas to be involved in are human rights, support for a communications effort, and fairness in foreign aid. I would like to see Sindhi-Americans more involved in the American political process. It's a lot easier to convince my colleagues to be interested in Sindh if someone from their district, someone from their area, someone in their political support group has brought it up. I don't want Sindh to be, oh, that's Brad Sherman's thing. I want it to be something, hey, we have people in America concerned with Sindh, people in my district, people who are my supporters, and let's, it's always better when one of my colleagues asks me, what can we do for Sindh, than when it goes the other direction.
Interesting, Congressman. As now we see, you know, there are like 13 members in total of Congressional Sindh Caucus. So it will be very helpful, you know, if Sindhi-Americans start playing a little bit more active role, you know, telling their representatives to, you know, do the same, what you are doing.
And I've seen other groups get involved, and I don't know, is there even a number? How many Sindhi-Americans do we think there are? It's not a separately tabulated census group. Not everyone is a member of SINPAC. Do you have a guess as to how many people we're talking about?
So it's a good question. So this year we started this new campaign because the census is going on. So we are telling how Sindhi-Americans can make sure, you know, they are counted as Sindhi-Americans.
Ah.
So hopefully.
But the official forms are all oriented toward country of birth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that.
They have the option, you know, form. So I guided them because I felt myself, there is an opportunity where you can say you are, you know, Sindhi-American. Because a lot of Sindhis come from Sindh province of Pakistan. There are Sindhis who come from India, and a lot of Sindhis have come from Europe. So, you know, I think this will be a better opportunity.
I think you'll get an important segment of the Sindhi community to do this, but I think you'll be counting how many Sindhi-Americans know you, rather than, which is a subset of how many Sindhi-Americans there are in the country. But I'll point out, there are fewer Sindhi-Americans than Armenian Americans, who have done a very strong job of organizing, and obviously fewer than Indian Americans, obviously fewer than Jewish Americans. And that just means that each Sindhi-American has to work harder, because if there's only one Sindhi for every 10 Armenians, you have to be 10 times as active as the average Armenian. And then you can have, and look, I'm also a member of the Armenia Caucus. We had a great victory just a few months ago, where we recognized the Armenian genocide. I've been fighting for that for 24 years. So, and imagine how frustrating it was for Armenian Americans. They were working on it for over 30 years. And yet, after all that activity, we got, and that was overwhelmingly the #1 goal of the Armenian American community. And I might add, blocking it was the #1 goal of the Turkish government. So it's, sometimes you don't make progress, not because you're not working hard, but because your enemies are also working hard. So I would say the fewer Sindhis there are, the harder each Sindhi has to work. Sindhi-American has to work.
Good point, Congressman. So my next question would be, you know, I would like to give like Sindhi-Americans and also Sindhis back home in Sindh province, some sort of, hope. So what is your message to Sindhi people?
Well, I think I've expressed it here. My message is organize and get involved in the American process if you're Sindhi-American. Focus on, and obviously the SAPAC is a very important way to do that. It's not just people active in politics hear PAC and they think it's just a bank account, but instead it's an organization, and so organize, agree, and on yourselves on what is the objective, and then it is that obviously those who live in Sindh can do a lot for Sindh. There are many, tens of millions of people who fit in that category. There are a far, if you leave Sindh, you might say, well, I can't help Sindh as much, I've left Sindh. But if you happen to have moved not to Belgium, I mean, Belgium will not have a major impact on South Asia. If you happen to have chosen to move not to Belgium, but to the United States, then you may have increased your ability to help Sindh, because you can argue whether the United States should play this enormous role in world affairs or it shouldn't. It does. And if you move to the United States, you have a chance to influence American foreign policy regarding Sindh that is certainly far greater than if you had moved to Belgium, and may even be greater than if you're still in Sindh. And that I think we've identified and worked for the three areas. First, in human rights, we have to mention in the Congress, get the State Department to make the calls. I'm talking to the Pakistani ambassador, the foreign minister, the president all the time, and bring up individual cases, but also bring up the whole attitude of how people are treated. In the area of communications, we need to get from web to broadcasting, and maybe people watching this will give you and Sufi some advice to give us on what would be the very best per dollar communication strategy. Do we want to lease an hour of television time? Which TV markets, which station? How does it compare with AM radio, et cetera? Or with an even expanded web presence. And I should point out that we were successful even before we got the web. We got Sindhi-speaking public information officers based in Karachi. So when we first started this, we had nothing. So we need to push the communication effort, whether it be the public diplomacy effort in the Sindhi language, or in broadcasting and internet. And then finally, it'd be interesting to see whether either the official Pakistani government or Sindhi-Americans or the provincial government of Sindh has particular foreign aid projects that USAID should get involved in. So those are the three areas to be involved in. Organizing, being involved with members of Congress is the way to achieve it. And I just look forward to another 11 years being active with the Sindh Caucus, probably chairing the Sindh Caucus, although if somebody else gets more involved than me, then we'll have a co-chair. we'll have two co-chairs. But I look forward to working with you,
Yes.
and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you for everything that you're doing. And just in the end, I will just take this opportunity, especially the recent, issues that are happening. I mean, the protests that are happening in the United States, the police brutality. I mean, I want to remind everyone that you are not only concerned about the injustices that are happening in our country here in the United States, but you have been this, a big, force for promoting justice and human rights around the world, and especially for Sindhi people. Whether it was the, brutal murder of Irshad Ranjani and the role of police in that case.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that case, and it's exact. It's the kind of thing even more. Although here, a man was brutally killed, but the police didn't kill the witnesses. Unfortunately, in Sindh, not only is the person killed, but the witnesses are sometimes killed, and it's.
Masood Shah
We've got a long way to go.
Yeah, the only person who came forward to become the eyewitness, and he himself, went missing. And then I would like to mention some of the, recent cases. I just got a picture, Congressman, today of a person. It's been 3 years. He has been enforcedly disappeared. And his young son, I think he's hardly 10 years old. He is protesting. Actually, he's crying in that picture. Wow. And protesting for his father. So, and Insaf Dayo, his sisters call me all the time about his, their brother. His missing, and Mehran Ali Mirani and Gulshed. These are all the names you have already taken.
Your Anwar, your own brother-in-law.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not missing, but
still we don't know what happened, and who did it.
I mean, the one success we had there is we've gotten several American inquiries, and they haven't actually closed the file. I have no doubt that without the involvement of the American government, they would have just they would say who's in it. So but we still don't know what happened.
So, Congressman, that is the current situation. And even coronavirus, the highest infected cases in Pakistan actually are in Sindh. So Sindh is the worst affected area in Pakistan. And not
now,
only
is that in the city of Karachi?
No, overall Sindh.
All of Sindh.
All of Sindh. And then especially the kids. So thousands of kids under 10 years old have been infected with COVID-19 in Sindh.
That is of interest to epidemiologists, because the world is being told that this disease very rarely affects those under 20 years old. Wow, yeah. That's certain.
Again, Congressman, I just wanted to update you what is happening in Sindh. And then next, the food security is going to be a big issue because this paste, it's locust, it's, eating all the crops, the mangoes and the wheat.
What is it?
It's a paste. It's like locust.
Fungus?
Locust. It's more of a.
Are you saying locust, the insect?
Yeah, the insect.
Oh, yes. That's the locusts have been a terrible problem from Sindh all the way to East Africa.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And food security will be a big issue.
Yes.
So.
Yes, they just huge swarms. I've seen them more. I've seen more pictures out of Kenya and East Africa and Somalia. But wow,
this is a big issue in Sindh. And soon, people won't be able to afford, the flour to, make bread to feed their kids. So those are the things, Congressman, and I would again like to thank you for all the things you've done, all the letters that you've written on these human rights issues, all these floor speeches that you have done. Every time you take the name of Sindh, we are very, very thankful for you for supporting us and our cause.
Well, I want to thank you and Sufi. You are not the largest political organization here in Washington, but pound for pound, you may be the most effective. And if we can get more Sindhis involved, we will be more effective as we go forward. Thank you very much. And people should know that they can email me at brad.sherman@mail, that's MAIL for postal system, mail.house for House of Representatives.gov. And if they put the word Sindh in the regarding line, then we'll be more efficient in dealing with their email. And so I look forward to keeping in touch with people, and especially if people can get information to you, what are the human rights issues where we should take action, and which of those should be big public action. What are the most effective communications systems in the Sindhi language? I'm old. I would have said AM radio, but I'm old.
What I am hearing so far.
Ways to go. And
yeah.
Then finally, let's start taking a look at the USAID foreign aid projects in Pakistan and see what are the best ones that can be done in Sindh. So I hope people, as a result of this, will email me, or better yet, talk to you so we can put together a better program as we go forward.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you, Congressman, for your time.
Thank you.